good morning. You're watching ET Now. I'm Anisha Jain. With me is Nikunj Dalmia. It's the start of a fresh new day, week and a year in case of today. And it's a happy new year that we want to wish from the ET Now family to all our viewers. May 2024 be bigger, better and brighter for all of you. Nikunj, first up, Happy New Year to you formally.
Thank you, Anisha.
What were you doing on the New Year's Eve?
Just friends, family. Duty calls, wrapped up with friends early. So
Talk to me about duty calls, right? But okay, it's cliched, but any New Year resolutions?
45 साल में नहीं कर आप क्या करेंगे? I'm 45 years old.
You can reinvent yourself any given day, right?
Exactly. And my point is that why wait for New Year's to start something good? And if you have something good, well, you shouldn't have waited for 1st of Jan 2024. So yeah, year has changed, and 2023 has just been. It has just zipped through.
Yes.
Just zipped through because the markets kept us busy. The bull market was alive and kicking. We've seen the kind of vibrancy what we've seen in 2023 in mid-cap stocks, small-cap stocks, in SME stocks, in the new IPO market, come back in the startup or the new tech companies, linear rise in PSUs. I guess that kind of a feat is not going to be repeated in 2024. 2024 could be a very different year, both in terms of volatility and also in terms of price action. Well, in the near term, because of flows, because of liquidity, because of what the positioning is, the markets may just not reverse, but you can really make a case, and I think there's logic in that case, that 2023 is unlikely to repeat itself in 2024. I mean, you got to fasten your seat belts, you got to prepare for low returns, you got to prepare for a lot of volatility. Not one but 40 big democracies are going for elections. A lot of time base effect would kick in. Markets exactly are not very cheap. So I think for me the differentiation in 2023 versus 2024, I guess, was if luck was the variable factor in 2023, I think skill would be the deciding factor in 2024.
Okay, there is a business case that 2024 is not going to be as easy that 2023 looked like. But Nikunj, what's the business case of having the markets open? I mean, me and the entire team was struggling to find any market which is open right now today on January 1st.
And none of the major markets are actually operating. And this is what I always say, why? Why us and why every year? Why us and why every year? I mean, you're talking about India becoming a global superpower. You're talking about India on course to become a $5 trillion economy very soon. You're talking about Indian markets which are right up there in terms of, I think, the fifth or the sixth market in terms of market cap. There is serious globalization which has already happened. So by just keeping the market up on 1st of Jan, and when half the folks will not be there, half the folks will come, they'll be wearing sunglasses. It was a long weekend, and I think markets would have benefited with. Market should always get 1st of Jan as a off. And I think that's my personal view. I mean, ultimately the regulator and the exchanges have to decide on it. But I think aana hai to aana padega, but makes little sense.
Well, if anyone at SEBI, BSE and NSE are listening to us, please take this request on board. I mean, right from the US market, the mother market, to everyone in Asia, right from China, Hong Kong, South Korea. I wanted to read out the rates for you of how these markets have opened, but all of them are shut today. So we have nothing to talk about until 9 a.m. unless we get our own markets open. But of course, it's the start of the fresh new year. So let's talk about new targets that are being set, and not only for you and me personally, but what are the nifty targets a lot of brokerage houses have put out. You have to take them with a pinch of salt, because obviously in 2023 what they started the year with was very different versus how we ended the year. But nonetheless, to put it on board, there are expectations right from 21,800, which was just scaled last week, to as much as 23,200 on the upside. So definitely it looks like, Nikunj, there is still some kind of returns that they're expecting, and nobody's expecting a big decline of sorts. So it's going to be a positive year despite the 8 consecutive years of returns that we have seen.
So Anisha, I think what we need to debate this year is that what could be the quantum of return. I don't think you can make a case for a negative return purely based on the earnings setup, purely based on valuations and large cap stocks, or purely looking at where the where the economy is headed. What you need to perhaps argue is that just when we thought that 2023 would be a flat year for large cap stocks, you had a brilliant November and a solid December, and suddenly the Nifty for the year gone by give you a 20% return. So historically, I guess forecasting is not the best way, or January forecast numbers rarely actually form in line with what the real picture by the year end is. Nobody forecasted even for large cap stocks, small and mid cap. I'm not even getting there at beginning of 2023 that it would pan out in such a manner, because nobody expected the Fed would pivot. Nobody expected that crude will collapse. Nobody expected that such a large reversal will happen in terms of global liquidity as well. So there are a lot of factors which were at play, which nobody was anticipating and expecting, and which in a sense really gave the fillip to the market. So I think while the year-end targets which have come out so far, and this is not the full catalog, the catalog will keep on increasing up as folks return to work. I think the message from brokerages, whether Citi, Nomura or Goldman Sachs, is that we could be in for a flat year with a mild positive bias. That's the general view. And I think more than looking at the Nifty, it really would be about a lot of stocks. Anisha, I look at the market in a very different prism in 2024. Look, 85% of the market, or 80 to 85% of the market in 2023, I think went up. The market's really obliged you. As long as you participated, you did not try to time the market. If you stayed on the course, I guess you were very handsomely rewarded. I think the reverse could happen this time, which is that 20% of the market will actually give you breathtaking returns or solid returns. In mid and small cap stocks, the ratio must be more than 80%. In mid cap stocks, the ratio was more than 70%. In Nifty, the ratio was more than 50%. I guess it really could be the reversal, which is 25 to 30% of the small and the mid cap stocks have real potential to give you double digit returns. Barring that, I expect a lot of other stocks to either have a flat year or have a downward year. Now specifically, let's talk about Jain, Anisha, because that's what our viewers would like to understand. Now the January data, unfortunately, is not something which could be called as it has supported the bulls. 7 out of 10 times Nifty has given no returns. Always has given negative returns. 6 out of 10 times the small and the mid cap index has given no returns. The seasonality, I guess, is also applicable in banks, where Nifty PSU Bank 7 out of 10 years has not given you returns. Bank Nifty 5 out of 5. It's like a toss of coin. So if data is anything to go by, I guess the month of Jan may just be a dull month. What you would ask yourself is that will this entire Happy Diwali rally extend to become a grand 2024 welcome rally? I have my reservations, and I'll tell you why. A, the seasonality is indicating that. B, you must also realize that the market movement has been a linear one, and this will get challenged because I don't expect the earnings season is going to be that gangbusters. There is evidence of slowdown which has happened in consumer space. I've been told that the online sales in December have not been that strong, and you can really feel the pinch that the consumer is slowing down. So I think markets have run up way ahead of what the earning recovery could be. Everybody is betting on the fact that FIs will come. So it's becoming more like a one-trick pony. So that for me is the setup. Seasonality is against you. FIs, I don't know whether they will come back or not. If they come back, we'll welcome them. But markets are too much dependent on them. And then I think earning season is not going to be that grand that it will really lift the markets higher. These are the three factors I would like to point out.
Okay, so Jan, keep your seat belts tightened up, because that could be a bit of a topsy-turvy ride. But at least for 2024, things are in place that talk to you about the positivity that is there, and more importantly, you also need to factor in the kind of cues which are lined up for this year. Churn is going to be the big talking point in terms of from mid cap, small cap to large caps and the individual stocks as well. But talking about 2024, the cues that we want to put on board, the first big cue to watch out for, of course, is the Indian general elections, which will be there during the mid of the year. The rate reversal cycle is another important factor to watch out for this year, because this is the year which has been pegged that we'll see the start of the interest rate reversal. So let's see whether that happens or not. India is going to be included in the global bond index, so that is something to watch out for, and the flows on account of that in the bond market. And as we were talking about, over 40 countries are going to go for election, the large ones being US as well this year, wherein at the end of the year there will be presidential elections. But talking about the cues for this week or this month perhaps, auto sales, of course, today itself we'll get the data, so let's watch out whether that consumption slowdown is something that is visible in the auto trends or not. Fed minutes is something that we expect on Jan 4th, so the course of future trajectory will be more clearer after we read into that. Run up to the earnings, IT sector will kickstart the earnings next week, Jan 11th. Perhaps it's going to be a muted start Let's see where we go from there. And of course, Jan seasonality that we have talked about is going to play a big factor in the markets in this month.